Edward Scissorhands is a cool movie about a guy with scissors for hands. He moves to a boring neighborhood and shakes things up in a big way. It's got awesome visuals and a great story. So now grab your popcorn and let's start this enchanting, amazing journey into the quirky world of Edward Scissorhands. In the evening, a grandmother shares a bedtime tale with her granddaughter, narrating the story of a young man named Edward, portrayed by Johnny Depp. Edward is a creation of an aging inventor, played by Vincent Price. The inventor's last endeavor was crafting a boy who resembled a human in every way, except he lacked proper hands. Tragically, the inventor suffered a heart attack and passed away while in the process of giving Edward real hands, leaving Edward forever incomplete. Years after Edward's creation, a local Avon saleswoman named Peg Boggs, played by Diane Wiest, ventures to the eerie, dilapidated mansion on the hill where Edward resides. To her surprise, she discovers Edward living alone. Recognizing his gentle nature and harmlessness, Peg makes the compassionate decision to bring him to her own home. In the Boggs household, Edward forms a deep friendship with Peg's young son, Kevin, portrayed by Robert Oliveri, as well as her husband Bill, played by Alan Arkin. Over time, Edward also develops strong feelings for the Boggs' stunning teenage daughter, Kim, portrayed by Winona Ryder, despite her initial apprehension and fear of him. This sets the stage for the complex and heartwarming relationships that unfold in the story. Peg's neighbors are amazed by Edward's exceptional skills in trimming hedges and cutting hair, both of which he accomplishes with his unique scissor hands. However, not everyone in the town is equally impressed. Two townspeople, a religious extremist named Esmeralda, portrayed by Olan Jones, remain unimpressed. Among the neighborhood residents, a housewife named Joyce, an aging seductress portrayed by Kathy Baker, proposes the idea of Edward opening a hair-cutting salon with her. While exploring a potential location, she tries to seduce him in the back room, leading Edward to flee in a state of panic. This incident marks a pivotal moment in the unfolding story, showcasing the contrasting reactions of the townsfolk to Edward's remarkable yet unconventional abilities. Seeking money for a van, Jim exploits Edward's skill in picking locks to break into his own parents' house. When the burglar alarm goes off, everyone except Edward flees, despite Kim's insistence that they return for him. Edward gets arrested but is later released after a psychological evaluation reveals that his isolation has left him lacking a sense of reality and common sense. Meanwhile, Joyce, feeling scorned by Edward's rejection, seeks revenge by falsely claiming he attempted to rape her. This, combined with the break-in incident, leads many neighbors to question Edward's character and tarnish his once popular reputation. As Christmas approaches, Edward becomes an object of fear and rejection by most in the community, with the Boggs family standing as exceptions, ultimately resulting in their own social isolation. As the family decorates for Christmas, Edward sculpts an angel ice sculpture, creating an illusion of falling snow as Kim dances beneath it. Jim's call to Kim distracts her, leading to an accidental injury when Edward cuts her hand. Jim accuses Edward of intentional harm and physically attacks him. In a fit of anger and distress, Edward flees, tearing the clothes that Peg had given him, and roams the neighborhood. Kim, frustrated by Jim's mistreatment of Edward, breaks up with him, and Jim heads to a friend's van to drink. Meanwhile, Peg and Bill search for Edward. He eventually returns, and Kim warmly greets him with a hug. However, a near accident involving Kevin and Jim's intoxicated friend unfolds. Edward pushes Kevin to safety, but accidentally cuts his face, leading witnesses to misconstrue the act as an attack. When the police arrive, Edward escapes to his hilltop mansion, and an angry mob led by Joyce follows, ignoring Peg and Bill's pleas. Officer Jim tries to deceive the mob by firing a few shots into the air to suggest that Edward is dead, but the mob remains unconvinced, pressing on to the mansion to see if Edward is truly deceased. As the climactic confrontation unfolded, Kim made a desperate dash to the eerie mansion, where she was finally reunited with Edward. Jim, hot on her heels, launched a brutal attack on Edward, further fueling his growing anger. However, this assault went too far when Jim turned his aggression towards Kim, causing Edward to snap. In a moment of frenzy, Edward's Scissorhands found their mark, plunging into Jim's stomach, and he was sent hurtling out of a window to a tragic death. With Jim's life extinguished, Kim's true feelings for Edward surfaced. In a poignant moment of affection and farewell, they confessed their love for each other and shared a heartfelt kiss, a fleeting connection in the midst of chaos. Returning to the lower floors of the mansion, Kim decided to shield Edward from the wrath of the townspeople by concocting a story. She informed the crowd that Edward and Jim had engaged in a fatal struggle, leading to the roof caving in on them, which she confirmed by displaying a detached scissor hand similar to Edward's own. Overwhelmed by the shocking news of Edward's alleged death, the neighbors departed, their hearts heavy with sorrow for the loss of the enigmatic figure who had both fascinated and terrified them. The elderly woman, who is later revealed to be an aged Kim, concludes her poignant tale for her wide-eyed granddaughter. She reveals that she never crossed paths with Edward again. This decision was a deliberate choice, as she wanted him to preserve the memory of her youthful self rather than as a frail elderly woman. Kim also discloses that Edward, being artificial, is seemingly immortal, forever frozen in time. He continues to craft his mesmerizing ice sculptures, from which he conjures the illusion of falling snow that blankets the neighborhood below. She confides in her granddaughter, saying, "Sometimes you can still catch me dancing in it." As Edward diligently sculpts his ice creations, the narrative takes us back in time to a flashback of a young Kim dancing joyfully beneath the angelic ice sculpture, surrounded by the enchanting snow created by Edward. This heartfelt conclusion to the story serves as a beautiful tribute to their enduring connection and the enduring magic of Edward's artistry. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Your comments mean a lot. Share with your friends, and I'll see you in the next video.